Marrying someone you don't love sounds like a plot twist from a tragic romance, but in reality, it happens far more often than we like to admit. People step into marriages for reasons that seem logical, practical, even necessary, and yet the emotional cost is often hidden, quiet, and slow. To understand why someone would commit to a lifetime without genuine love, we need to dive deep into human psychology, societal pressures, and the subtle workings of the mind. The first place to start is fear. Fear is a stronger motivator than love for many people. Fear of loneliness, fear of aging alone, fear of judgment, fear of financial instability. All of these can push someone toward a partner who isn't their heart's choice. Neuroscience tells us that the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing fear and threat, often overrides the prefrontal cortex's ability to make purely rational or emotionally fulfilling decisions. In simpler terms, your brain sometimes chooses safe over happy. Safety becomes a substitute for love. Society also plays a powerful role. Cultural expectations, family pressure, religious norms, and social comparison all weigh heavily on human decision-making. In some cultures, staying single past a certain age is stigmatized. In others, marrying someone from a specific socioeconomic class, religion, or background is expected. Even subtle cues, like seeing peers settle down, can trigger a sense of urgency. The brain's reward system, particularly the dopamine pathways, responds not only to immediate pleasures, but also to perceived social rewards. Marrying someone acceptable can feel like a reward, even if the heart isn't engaged. Another factor is habitual thinking and cognitive bias. People often overestimate compatibility or underestimate the importance of emotional connection because their thinking is colored by heuristics, mental shortcuts. They may focus on shared values, job stability, or physical attraction, while ignoring the subtle but critical lack of emotional intimacy. Psychologists call this affective forecasting error, the tendency to misjudge how future emotions will feel. People convince themselves that they will grow to love their partner, or that love will come with time, even when all internal cues suggest otherwise. Then there's the illusion of rationality. Human beings like to see themselves as logical actors, capable of making decisions that maximize long-term benefits. Someone may marry without love but justify it as practical. They're financially secure, compatible on paper, and a good parent someday. Over time, this rational narrative reinforces a choice, creating a mental structure where emotional dissatisfaction is minimized or denied. This is known as cognitive dissonance reduction. The brain wants harmony between actions and beliefs, so it finds reasons to validate a choice that might feel inherently unfulfilling. Sometimes, past trauma plays a subtle role. People who grew up in emotionally distant households or witnessed unstable marriages may associate love with danger, volatility, or rejection. Their brains have learned to seek predictability over passion. As a result, they may choose a partner who feels safe rather than someone who ignites emotional excitement. Neuroscience confirms that the prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning, often prioritizes stability for individuals who have experienced early life insecurity. Love becomes secondary to control and predictability. There's also the fear of missed opportunities or regret, paradoxically. People may think, if I wait for true love, I might end up alone forever, or I could lose a chance for social acceptance. This fear of regret is a subtle but powerful driver. Studies in behavioral economics suggest that humans often overweight potential losses over potential gains, a principle known as loss aversion. In this context, marrying without love feels safer than risking future loneliness or social failure. Financial and social interdependence is another layer. Marrying someone for security, status, or shared resources can be deeply ingrained in human behavior. Historically, marriage has often been more transactional than romantic. Even today, the modern brain sometimes calculates risk in terms of resource stability rather than emotional satisfaction. The nucleus accumbens, involved in reward anticipation, responds to security as if it were pleasure, making practical marriages feel rewarding in a visceral, biological way. But why don't people leave if they realize they don't love their partner? Here lies one of the most intriguing psychological patterns: entrapment and sunk cost bias. Once someone has invested time, money, and social capital into a marriage, the idea of leaving triggers profound cognitive discomfort. The brain struggles with perceived loss, not only the partner, but also a reputation, social circles, and personal identity. Escaping the situation may feel more painful than enduring it. Over time, this creates a mental prison reinforced by anxiety and guilt. Then there is emotional adaptation. Humans are remarkably resilient. Even without love, people can adapt to routine, companionship, and shared responsibilities. This doesn't always equate to happiness, but it does create a sense of functional normalcy. Neuroscience shows that repeated experiences with moderate emotional stimuli can normalize neural responses. In plain language, the brain learns to tolerate or even accept an emotionally empty marriage, mistaking habit for contentment. Some also experience a paradoxical illusion of intimacy. Shared chores, co-parenting, social interactions, and daily routines can mimic emotional connection. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released during physical touch and social interaction, sometimes creating fleeting feelings of closeness even in the absence of true love. This physiological reinforcement subtly convinces the brain that attachment is genuine. Interestingly, psychological studies show that high-functioning individuals often marry without love for strategic reasons. They may prioritize long-term goals, professional stability, or children over passion. While outsiders may view these marriages as cold or loveless, the individuals involved often feel that the trade-off is logical and worthwhile. The brain interprets long-term utility as a type of reward. Finally, it's worth noting that marrying without love doesn't always mean unhappiness. Love itself evolves over time, and commitment, respect, shared experiences, and friendship can create meaningful bonds. Some individuals develop deep affection post-marriage, finding that their initial fear, pragmatism, or societal pressure gave way to a real emotional connection. But the initial choice is rarely made for romance alone. It's a complex cocktail of fear, logic, social expectation, and emotional survival. Understanding the psychology behind marrying someone you don't love reveals more about human adaptability than weakness. The brain is wired to prioritize safety, security, and social reward, sometimes over passion and romance. The decision, while painful or perplexing to outsiders, often feels rational, necessary, or inevitable to the person making it. At the end of the day, humans are neither perfectly rational nor purely emotional. We are creatures of both instinct and intellect, fear and desire. Marrying without love is a reflection of that duality, a compromise between the heart we want and the life we need. And perhaps, in understanding these choices, we can approach such situations with empathy instead of judgment, curiosity instead of condemnation, and insight instead of assumption.